Hey everybody, it's Halley O'Brien from the Snow Report Show, and welcome to another edition of the OpenSnow Fireside Chat Series. I'm very excited to be sitting down with all of OpenSnow's finest forecasters, and we're getting to know them on a deeper level. A snow depth level. Today we are sitting down with Tahoe's go-to forecaster, who also happens to be a fellow New Jersey native. He's a man whose beard needs no introduction. He's Mr. Bryan Allegretto. Bryan, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Halley.
I am so excited to get to talk to you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? What were some of your home mountains then? Where do you live now? Give me the skinny.
I grew up in New Jersey down on the beach. I was a surfer and skater and into the board culture. And then when I got a license and was able to get a snowboard, I started driving up and snowboarding in the Poconos. My home mountain was probably Jack Frost Big Boulder, but I hit a lot of those ski areas. And then the local surf shop used to have a bus trip up to Hunter Mountain, round trip. It was 8 hours of driving for 5 hours of skiing. So that was my experience. And not a lot of snow over there, as you know, compared to the West. A lot harder to get it snow. So I went to school for meteorology. Then I ended up switching at the end to got a job at the Creek Ski Holdings out here in Lake Tahoe. Moved out here because I wanted to work in the ski industry and continue to track powder more as a passion and as a hobby. So I moved to the place where I thought it snowed the most, which is Lake Tahoe. So everyone in the office was like, wow, you're doing pretty good with, forecasting these storms. Why don't you start an email and send it to everyone in the office? And then that email chain got way too big. So I started a blog spot account. And then marketing came over from North Star, was like, hey, we're going to put this on our website and try it out, see if anyone likes it. And it was a big hit. So they added it to a few more ski areas around Tahoe. And then in 2010, Joel Gratz contacted me. He's like, I'm starting this national site of snow forecasters, and I see that you're got a pretty good audience going in Tahoe. Why don't you join me?
Oh, that's awesome. I am a Jersey native myself, and I could appreciate you searching for the mountainous manifest destiny. What's your home mountain now? Are you at liberty to say?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because I work with all of them pretty closely.
You're like a proud dad.
I usually get I get a media pass to most of them. So I try to go in circles to each one.
Nice. You make the rounds. Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not at all jealous. Very jealous. You are pretty infamous, or I should say your beard is pretty infamous. You were calling it a snow beard. So what's that all about?
Yeah, I usually always have a beard. I keep it pretty trimmed up in the summertime, but 2 seasons ago, I started growing it out for the winter like I usually do. And instead of trimming it, I just let it go and go and go and go. And it was a very dry year all the way into March. And then we had this miracle March. And so I told everyone, I'm not shaving this thing. It's like a playoff beard. I'm not going to shave it until we get 3 feet in 24 hours because I'm so sick of it being dry and no snow. So luckily that March, we got several storms that dropped 3 feet in 24 hours. So I shaved myself all the way down to the skin on video for all the listeners.
Oh my goodness.
Then, and I just made it a tradition now. So I'm growing it out again this year, waiting for our next 3 feet in 24 hours.
How long did the beard get that season?
About double this length, probably about here. But I'm waiting for a season where we don't get 3 feet in 24 hours. It happens once in a while. And so if I go 2 seasons or more, without getting that much snow, it could get pretty big.
Yeah, if you lived like somewhere in Florida, you'd look like a member of ZZ Top by now. Mm-hmm. It'd be down to the floor. Your beard's actually kind of like a reverse snow stake in a way. The longer it gets, the less snow there is. So we kind of want a clean shaven Bryan.
Clean shaven Bryan means it's been snowing a lot in Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. And maybe this never happened, but did you ever forecast a storm that was supposed to be huge and you were going to shave it and then you shaved your face and then the storm missed the mark and then you're like, oh, what did I do?
Now I always wait until we have a ski resort that reports that I can verify that we got 3 feet in 24 hours.
That's good. That's good. Mm-hmm. You don't want to put the cart before the horse or the clippers before the snow in that case. All right. So tell me about snow forecasting and how it's different than the traditional route. Like, did you have the background in meteorology and then want to hone in on a specific, I mean, that's a pretty specific niche.
Originally, probably snow forecasting started first for me when I was really little. My dad worked for the Parkway in New Jersey, if you know what that is. For everyone else that doesn't know what that is, he worked for the Highway Authority. And he was in charge of calling out the snow plows when the snow would start. And I would go to work with him, and we would get faxes. This is back in the 80s. We get faxes from the National Weather Service in Mount Holly because we didn't have the Weather Channel back then or radar. So we would try to plan that way, but they say, oh, the storm's going to start in this time frame. And then all you had to do was go outside and stare at the lights and wait to see the first flakes. And then you started calling everyone in. And so I got excited about snow chasing that way and was helping him. And then as more technology evolved into the 90s, I just got more and more into snow chasing, but I started skiing and snowboarding, and it became powder chasing for me once I got my license, and then moved out here. So the big difference, I think, because I did end up going to school for meteorology, and I have taught myself a lot over the years as well, you have to know basic meteorology to understand why it snows and how weather patterns work. But when it comes to being a snow forecaster for your region, they don't teach that in meteorology school. They don't teach you, hey, if you live at 6,000 feet at lake level in Tahoe with mountains that go up to 11,000 feet, here's how you forecast the specific snowfall amount by elevation, by region across the lake with the rain shadows, and then snow levels rising and falling, snow consistency and quality at each elevation. So that's all stuff that I've had to hone in on living here. And all our forecasters have to do that where they live.
That is so awesome. And I mean, honestly, that's what makes OpenSnow such a valuable resource. I mean, hosting the show, the Snow Report, traveling around as a snowboarder, just a fan of the sport. It's without you guys, I'm kind of just still guessing in a way. I mean, and it's very specific. I mean, you niche down so much on OpenSnow just by the fact that you guys are snow forecasters. Then you go to the regions, then you go to specific mountains, ski areas. It's pretty remarkable what you guys do. And on behalf of all of the snow reporters out there, we thank you. We thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I get people that will contact me and say, which model are you looking at to get your snowfall forecast for each elevation at each ski resort? I was like, there isn't really a model. I have this enormous Excel spreadsheet that I could probably sell for a lot of money now, but it's my own formulas I developed over the last 15 years.
Wow, that's crazy. See? Math, kids. You got to take it seriously. So you have a pretty solidified passion for snow forecasting. Is that what prompted the podcast, the Flakes?
We just were trying to introduce a new medium. I know I listen to a lot of podcasts that have become very popular the last few years, and everyone usually just reads us in the morning before they go to work or before they hit the hill. But I was thinking, man, for those people who have to drive up from Sacramento, especially this year,
right,
with not being allowed to stay in hotels, you have to do day trips, or people that miss out on having a chance they're running late for work and can't read the blog in the morning.
Right.
How can I give them a way to get the forecast, over a podcast so they can listen to it in the car on the way to work or the way to the hill? So
nice.
We started the Flakes podcast, and we're covering snowfall for every region. So we go through the conditions and snow forecast for the next 2 weeks for each region of the United States on the Flakes podcast.
All right. So if people wanted to check it out, what's the frequency of the podcast and where can people find it?
It's every Monday, usually by Monday afternoon, I have it released, and it's on all the platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, Podomatic, Deezer. Anywhere you find your podcast, you should be able to find the Flakes podcast. All
right, so it's maybe not all sunshine and rainbows, though, or I should say just snowflakes and powder days at OpenSnow. What are some of the challenges that you faced in this line of micro forecasting?
The biggest challenge here in the Cascades and the Sierra are the snow levels. Being next to the ocean, like you guys are in the Northeast, we get winds coming in off the ocean, the storms come in and they pick up some of that warmer air. And so we have to deal with snow levels, which they don't have to deal with in the Rockies. In the Rockies, they just worry about how powdery the snow is going to be. Here we have to worry about, is it even going to be snow? And at what elevation? So we have storms where it's raining at the parking lot and snowing at the top. And so finding that line where it's going to sit or fluctuate or drop to, and how fast is it going to drop? I mean, if the snow level is at the base the whole time, it makes it a lot easier to forecast. But if halfway through the storm, it's going to drop to the base or not to the very end, that is extremely hard to time that and pinpoint that, because obviously if it's raining or snowing, it's going to be a big difference to how much snow you have at the bottom.
Right. Does that change the, there's a 50% chance of snow. Does that change the impact of the percentage of likelihood of the snow? That makes sense. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say. I try to nail down the timing, but what I'll do if it's rain to snow to rain and that kind of a situation at the base, I just put a big range. I say, hey, if the snow levels can hold to the base, we could see a foot. And if it stays all rain and the snow level is just above the base, we get 0. And then I get people joke with me and say in the comments, oh, anyone can forecast 0 to 4 feet. I was like, yeah, but it might rain the entire time at the base and snow 4 feet at the top with this big atmospheric river. So that is actually the forecast: 0 at the bottom and 4 feet at the top.
Yeah. So shut up, Todd. You mentioned something about people wanting to get forecasts specific to their vacations, which happen to be months in advance. Imagine that. What's that like, and how do you handle those?
So it's not every day, but we'll get people who will contact all the forecasters periodically saying, hey, I'm coming up in January, February. I have to lock in my vacation now. And I need to know, is that there going to be fresh snow? What are the chances there'll be fresh snow the week I'm going to be here? And they're asking this in November, December for January, February, and March.
Right.
And we're like, how the heck can I tell you what the weather's going to be 2 to 3 months from now? There's no way.
Right. Exactly. So how do you handle it? Like, what do you tell them? Do you have like a special dartboard in your office, and you just have a bunch of different weather options and
I mean, the best I could do is just tell them what the average snowfall is for each month. And I tell them, what in the worst it could possibly be usually. I usually tell people the first week of March usually has the best snow cover on average. So if you're really worried about there being dirt or snow, come the first week of March, you're usually covered.
There you go. See, that's one of the things that I think is so lost on a lot of people. Not necessarily the diehards, the core skier rider out there, but a lot of people lose interest in skiing and snowboarding once it's really starting to get good. And I don't understand that. March is like the bread and butter month. You're going to find probably more snowfalls then on average. And this is my very, very unscientific opinion. But, you're probably going to wind up with some really great snow in March, more so than you would maybe early season.
Yeah. January, February, and March are all very close to the same average snowfall here. And then it drops off. It kind of comes up in November, December, peaks in those 3 months, and drops back in April and May. So most ski areas, all the traffic is from Christmas to President's Day, which is halfway through February.
Right.
So people are missing out on the second half of the highest snowfall.
It's our secret. Don't tell them. We're not going to let anybody
We call it
know.
Local season once we get to mid-March into April.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Good times. We got the shaft last year when it came to spring skiing, though. That was a real bummer.
Yeah, it's actually started snowing here the day they let everything down. We had a long dry spell with no snow, and everyone was panicking and like, oh, this sucks. And I was forecasting at the end of February saying, March 15th, the storm train comes. And we were waiting. And they literally shut down all the ski resorts the day it started snowing, with about 6 inches had fallen that afternoon. Everything closed Saturday night. And we woke up to 3 feet of snow on the ground Sunday morning. And it snowed for like 2 weeks straight after that.
What? You woke up to 3 feet and everybody was closed. Oh, my goodness. Oh, and then you had to shave your face.
And I didn't have to shave because the ski resort.
Yeah, you weren't going out of your house for the next 6 months, so it didn't really matter.
I went into a little bit of a depression that week.
I don't blame you, man. I think we all did. That's so 2020. Oh, my goodness.
The season that keeps on giving.
Oh, for sure. Bryan, I've gotten a bunch of questions from the snow reporters on our Facebook group. They're all in the Midwest, and they all want to know why it's not snowing and when it might start actually snowing. Can you help them out?
Well, when the storm track's coming across the mountains of the West, the storms dry out across the middle of the country. So they need a storm track coming down out of the Northwest. And it looks like they're going to get that maybe over the next couple of weeks through the end of the month, mostly in the northern parts of Minnesota and Michigan. The Upper Peninsula, I know you have a lot of ski resorts up there, and it looks like they're going to get quite a bit of snow over the next few weeks between now and the end of the month.
All right. Fingers crossed. Here's hoping. I mean, think about it. Think about all the snowbeards up in the Midwest right now. They must be down to the floor.
They must be.
Well, this was great. I have some rapid fire questions for you if you're ready. So whatever pops into your head first, just spit it out there.
Okay.
All right. My first question, obviously Jersey related. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Pork roll.
Oh, yep. Down the shore. Down the shore. All right. Now do your best to describe it to people that don't know what Taylor ham or pork roll is.
It's basically a thick piece of ham fried in a pan and then you put it on a breakfast sandwich.
It's more mystical than that, Brian.
It's saltier, maybe?
Yeah, it's delicious. It's so
really good. Artery blocker.
If you've got a hangover, that'll cure it. I'll tell you right now.
It will.
All right, next question. Rate your kind of chairlift experience. Like, rate the chairlift experience that you enjoy the most. Like, what kind of chairlift guy are you? 1 would be roughing it, no bells and whistles. 10 would be bougie. Bubble chairs, heated seats, Wi-Fi, the whole 9 yards. Where are you on that spectrum?
I'd say a 1. I like the old 2-seater chairs that go slow and have the post up the middle. My theory is when you're riding those old 2-person slow chairs, the mountain gets tracked out a lot slower because you can't get in as many runs.
That's true. That is physics. So, all right. Yeah, I'm straight up bougie. I probably place myself at about an 8. All right, last question. What's your go-to après drink and or snack?
I drink whiskey.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I go straight to whiskey on ice. Maybe pour a little bit in my hot chocolate like I did the other day after skiing if it's cold.
Nice.
Yeah.
And a snack?
Probably pretzels.
Pretzels?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For
I don't
après?
know.
You really are a no bells and whistles kind of guy.
I'm not much of a soft pretzel is my favorite. Yeah, I love a soft pretzel with mustard and a glass of whiskey.
I love a good soft pretzel, a little beer cheese.
Yeah, beer cheese, yeah.
I'm with you with the whiskey. Pretzels are weird. I'll be honest with you, Brian. All right, well, that wraps up episode 2 of our OpenSnow Fireside Chat. Brian, thank you so much for joining us and for bestowing your wisdom, knowledge, and beard upon us. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday too. Brian, we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you very much. You too. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.